Loose ball on the floor. There's the battle for it. Still loose. Hell ball. Possession arrow. And again.
Wow. This is out of hand. This is completely out of hand.
A knee to the head and a forearm to the throat. Now you see what I have to put up with every week between Daryl and Howie right here on the Red and Blue Review. See, it's just that reason we have these guys separated by thousands of miles so that they didn't, you know, and they're just
we don't duke it out anymore. We used to be in the same studio and we'd wrestle every single week. But Daryl, Daryl couldn't take losing.
That's right. Well, the next step is just to get cages and let them go after it. But this week we're going to talk about not all the cages, but all the rages.
All the rage, and Cal's a little intense in the UK U of L game. All the rage being UK beat Louisville. UK finished non-conference 15-0. Here comes the SEC. So, yeah, UK basketball is all the rage in Lexington and beyond.
And that shot was actually snapped during warm-ups. That's how intense it was. Howie, let's talk about your cover, which I think is the only photograph in which someone was not being fouled.
Absolutely. We've got Jared Swapshire on the cover, even though he had a kind of lackluster game. But now comes the real big battle, the Big East. I would term the battle in Rupp as a fight, and the battle is yet to come. And it's going to be a battle, that's for sure. There's 17 straight league games, and Louisville's got to be up for that challenge.
Well, now all three of us were in Rupp Arena for the game between Kentucky and Louisville, and all of us have covered this rivalry for a long time. Howie, why was there so much venom this year?
Well, I think part of it is that these two teams were taking off the cues of their coaches. These coaches do not like each other. I don't know how many times they're going to come out and say, oh, we're friends, we're friendly, da-da-da, we just don't talk to each other a whole lot. They don't like each other. They didn't like each other when he was at Memphis. The Memphis and Louisville games used to look like this, the Joey Dorseys, that kind of back and forth, Andre McGee getting up in front of somebody's face, that kind of thing. And that's what it reminded me of, was an old Memphis-Louisville game, and it set a whole new tone for this rivalry. It was vicious within that first 8 seconds.
Now, Darryl, already this year you saw Kentucky and North Carolina, but the atmosphere for this Kentucky-Louisville game was, well, more than any I've ever seen.
Yeah, I was really taken aback. I thought it would be spirited. I didn't see the venom coming, the bumping before during warm-ups. This whole idea here where Bledsoe got a foul 5 seconds into it and just would not shut up. What threw me was they start Bledsoe, Wall, and Cousins, three freshmen, true freshmen they're not from Kentucky. They've never been in this rivalry. They have no reason to be this angry at the beginning of this game unless something was going on. And like Howie says, the coaches, and I know Coach Cal warned UK ahead of time, they're going to try to get your goat. They're going to try to get in your face. And it just became an idea of who is tougher than who. And we forgot to even play basketball for a while. I was glad it settled down rather quickly.
Well, last year in the Kentucky-Louisville game, what we talked about was the last second shot hit by Sosa. What we talk about in this Kentucky-Louisville game, the first 45 seconds. And one of the big things debated out of that is, should DeMarcus Cousins been tossed from the game? Here's what Coach Cal said right afterwards.
I mean, the game was, we were bumping coming in and off the court. So to say, let's isolate that one play and say he should be out and out for the year. Come on now. If you were here, this thing was as heated and as emotional and physically grabbing, pushing, shoving kind of game as I've coached in.
Howie, what do you think? Should Cousins gotten the boot out of that, or any of those other three kids involved that got technical fouls, should any of them been tossed?
I do think Cousins should have been tossed from the game.
I'm shocked.
That was an aggressive play. However, Cardinal fans won't want to admit this, but Reginald Delk should have been tossed as well. He was not part of that play. He was not involved in the play. Comes in afterwards and has that shove after the play. That's also an ejection. I mean, I still for the life of me can't figure out Jared Swapshire's technical. He was responding to getting a UFC-style forearm to the head. But yes, you have an aggressive action like that after the play is whistled dead. That's a swing. That's a swing right there. And, again, Reginald Delk did the same thing. He was not part of that play, made himself involved in a fight that was not his fight. That's also an ejection. So, yeah, I thought – but the referees didn't have control of this game all the way through. I mean, let's make that stated. But I do think Cousins should have been ejected.
Darryl, give me your take.
Oh, wah. How's that for a take? No, you don't toss out somebody. One thing, the problem is we can go back and watch slow motion and say, oh, yeah, he should be tossed. Look at that punch he threw. You watch this in live speed as everybody did. I didn't see anything. It was 15 feet away from us that would calls for somebody to be ejected. These guys were going at it hot and heavy, and that's all it was. And frankly, they got beat up much worse inside the lane while everybody was standing upright fighting for position than they ever did on this one play on the floor.
Well, I think that's exactly right. I think one of the points I'd like to make out of it, this is what I've been seeing in college basketball the last 15 years. What you saw on the ground is what we see on every play, only the guys are standing up.
Yep.
It is that rough, it's that physical, and that's essentially what you saw was two great athletes going for the ball in a game where their coaches are telling them that the outcome of the game will hang on every possession. I don't think either kid needed to be kicked out of the ball game. And I think we're focusing way too much attention on that 45 seconds because what really this game came down to, according to Coach Cal, is Kentucky did not win this by getting on the floor with their fists. They won it on defense.
We held them to 29%, and they shot from the three, and they shot 32% for the game, and we created 19 turnovers and 5 assists. Now think about this. And they had a chance to beat us. But I'll be honest with you, I love playing games where you play and it looks ugly and you win anyway. If your team's good, you'll win ugly games. That's when you know you're all right.
Unfortunately, he is correct. The fans would have much rather have seen, 98 to 97 up and down the floor game where you could actually blow the roof off the place. That's what they were hoping for. Instead, we got disjointed, great defense. The good news is those kind of games are what you're going to see all the way through the NCAA tournament, so you better be able to play that way, kind of a rough and tumble type of game, because you're going to see it. You're not going to get to play the sweet, pretty game that you want. UK's defense was terrific. The pessimistic view, I thought they were in trouble. As good as they were playing defense, they were up 17-5. It should have been 40-5. I thought they were wasting huge opportunities with the best defense they've played all year by far. And once things settled down, we saw good, aggressive, physical defense. You didn't see any more of the bumping and the one-upsmanship and all that stuff. This was just good defense. Very, very impressive.
And one of the other things we saw in that video clip, Darryl, was Kentucky players getting down on the floor on loose balls. Cousins did it a lot with or without Cardinal players underneath him.
Yeah, Coach Cal talks a lot about what he calls 50-50 balls, the loose balls, who gets them. Both teams have an equal chance. UK appeared to dominate that stat, especially in the first half. You saw Cousins, Bledsoe on the floor a lot, guys like that really scrapping and going after it. And for all the bravado that was going on early in the game, the one thing I did like about all of that is it's been 5 or 6 years since UK has had a team that took the attitude of, not in my building, you're not pulling this stuff here, this is our house. We haven't seen that forever with Gardner-Webb and VMI and losses that never should happen. It's gotten back to that attitude of you're not bringing that into our house and winning.
I thought John Wall forced the game just a little bit in that first half. I thought he took some shots that he really didn't need to take, took them at either a bad time, a bad spot on the floor, one of the two things. But in the end, he impressed both coaches.
The tide turned and we had momentum, and John Wall made a mid-range jump shot, got fouled in the press, and he wasn't having a good night. But the great thing about that young man is never bothered him, never lost focus. He stayed with it and made 2 killer plays for us. So that's a sign of a great one, and he certainly is, and got to give him a lot of credit.
Rick's actually right. I mean, they did a pretty good job on John Wall, and here Terrence Jennings in this clip shows U of L's one and only lead, and after that, it's Mr. John Wall, acrobatic shot that we're used to seeing 6-7 times a game at Rupp Arena. We only saw a couple of times here. Same with the jump shot. That's kind of for Rick, welcome to the club. He did this at UConn. He hits a big jumper when UK needs it most. Started this steal, ends up on the other end getting fouled, and thankfully, he didn't flip the U of L guy at that point. 6 straight points, ball game over. UK never looked back and went on to get the win.
Well, Darryl has told us not so gloatingly why Kentucky won. When we come back, this guy is going to have to explain to us why Louisville lost. That as we continue on the Red and Blue Review.
Student is not easy. At Class Act Federal Credit Union, we cater to the needs of U of L students and alumni. You can take advantage of our free checking account with free online bill pay, free e-statements, and free online access. Check us out on the web at classact.org or come visit us on the first floor of the SAC. How smart is your money? Open an honors checking account and earn 4.0 when you make the honor roll. Call or click for more details. Class Act Federal Credit Union. It's like straight A's for your money.
It's not how you play, it's how you look at J.D. Becker's store. We got everything that you...
Nice 3. He can go inside the paint if he needs to. He quietly dominated this game out. If you didn't get so wrapped up in what Cousins was doing, Patrick was everywhere.
There was a great play in that